Woke workers panic as companies move backwards fast and cancel DEI. Coming from Bloomberg, conservatives' assault on LGBT rights rattles corporate America. And from CNN Business, the hottest trend in executive leadership, bring back the white guy. Hey, whatever works. It doesn't matter what their skin color is or what their gender is. What matters is what works and who's actually got the ability to do the job. I was just having a conversation with a neurologist today, and he agrees that DEI is stupid. I told him I think it's evil and it's dangerous, especially in his profession. And he said no, he just thinks they're not thinking things through. How naive he is. But at some point, unless they're able to completely smash merit, which they have not been able to do, everything's going back towards getting the job done and who's actually capable. Marty Chavez used to think things were only getting better for LGBT people. His own story certainly pointed that way. Chavez spent a quarter century scaling the pinnacles of Wall Street. When he was promoted to be chief financial officer at Goldman Sachs, which is actually a very big deal, he emerged as the most senior openly gay executive in the bank's history. Okay, so you got the job and that's good, but just do the work and be good at it. That's all anyone is asking for. Now, after so many LGBT milestones, from the legalization of same-sex marriage to efforts to foster workplace diversity, Chavez is having doubts about the future. He and other advocates worry hard-won gains are slipping away. The idea that this fight is over, the mission accomplished, suddenly seems woefully misguided. Quote, I no longer feel that way at all, says Chavez, now vice chairman at investment firm 6th Street Partners. It's my sense, and it's the sense of other LGBT people, that not only has progression stalled out, that it's going backwards, and in some places, it's going backwards fast. I know it's hard for me to say because I'm not an LGBT person, but people really do just want you to go do your job and not be judged, but then also don't judge other people. People are allowed to have their own personal beliefs, feelings, things they want to involve themselves with, things they don't want to involve themselves with. It's not like everyone has to believe in the same things and do the same things. It's not right to force your ideas on someone else. For many, the feeling is difficult to shake. From living rooms to boardrooms, support for LGBT rights in the U.S. appears to have peaked. An overwhelming majority of Americans, 7 in 10, according to Gallup, remain squarely behind same-sex marriage. From there, the picture begins to blur. Now, same-sex marriage was already dealt with. It's decided by the Supreme Court. It's over. Is it going to get redecided? I don't think so. As a polarized nation hurdles towards Election Day, cultural conservatives have staked out aggressive positions on multiple issues, including sexual orientation and gender identity. Amid the backlash from the right over diversity, equity, and inclusion, pockets of corporate America are edging away from public commitments to help level the playing field. Also known as illegal discrimination against people that don't fit whatever their quota system is, for hiring people that look a certain way or believe certain things or have a certain gender or a certain sexual preference. A growing number of companies are abandoning DEI metrics for executive pay, deleting from their corporate filings references to specific groups like women and LGBT workers that their DEI initiatives were meant to help, and revising internships and mentorship efforts. That's in the face of several lawsuits over these illegal internships and illegal paid mentorship efforts that are only open to certain people of certain skin colors or certain genders, which of course is not legal. Some 94% of employees say workplace equality worsened last year, according to a report from advocacy group Out and Equal. Now, they don't seem to be biased. It's Out and Equal, and yes, of course, that's biased, and I don't know why you would cite information from a source like the Human Rights Campaign or from Out and Equal or anyone else who obviously have a biased slant on any information they would collect through any kind of survey. In fact, I've never heard of one of their surveys ever being audited and checked and really gone through to determine, is this actually true, or did you just kind of structure the information the way you wanted to push your point? For example, even saying 94% of employees say workplace equality worsened last year. What are you talking about? How do you define workplace equality? How did it worsen? Were people not judged equally, or did equity not come into play in every work situation? More likely than not, it's their equity nonsense agenda, which is not treating people equally. It's trying to force equal outcomes, which of course is impossible. Chavez, a board member at Alphabet Inc., corporate parent of Google, is so concerned he's been reaching out to prominent business figures on the issue. He recalls his 20s as a vocal presence at Queer Nation protests to combat the escalation of anti-gay violence. Now, according to Chavez, he's ready to wear his activist boots again. Quote, "It's concerning enough that we have to wake up and do something about it," the 60-year-old said. "We don't want special treatment, and neither will we settle for mere tolerance. It's about full acceptance. And there's the problem. When they say they don't want to be tolerated, they don't want to have an opportunity to do what they want to do while other people do what they want to do and raise their children the way they want to raise their children. No, they've got to go to Chavez, the former CFO of Goldman Sachs, which again is a really important position to be on. He's on the board of Google. He must be a really smart guy. But no, sorry, that's never going to happen, that you're going to take people's children from them and raise them the way you want to raise them so that they accept and approve of whatever it is you decide to do next. Not going to happen. People have their own religion, their own value, their own standards, their own family, and their own decisions to make about raising their own children. The sense of anxiety is heightened as Donald Trump and his allies pour millions into anti-trans ads in swing states ahead of November 5. The conservative policy book Project 2025 has urged the next Republican administration to redefine what constitutes discrimination based on sex so that sexual orientation and gender identity are no longer included. Even if Kamala Harris wins, the pressure from the right is unlikely to let up. Why would it let up? It would get more severe. The American Civil Liberties Union is tracking roughly 530 anti-LGBT bills across the U.S. Not all of them will become law. And 99% of these kinds of laws, when they come up in my research, in these articles, is about things like, no, you're not going to expose my children to books and ideas that go against my family's and my religious values. They are my children. I will raise them the way that I see fit, not the way that the state feels fit, not the way that Mr. Chavez feels fit. No, it's not going to happen. Cut it out. Stay away from them. For years, corporate America has been seen as a key ally for the nation's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer community. Now, a small but growing number of marquee name corporations have stepped back. Some have reduced their internal initiatives designed to support LGBT employees. Others have backed away from more public displays of involvement. Quote, "It only means one thing. Our clout is dwindling," says Fabrice Houdart, executive director of the Association of LGBT Corporate Directors, a New York-based nonprofit founded in 2022 with a goal of diversifying corporate boards, which actually is a ridiculous idea. You do not need to diversify a corporate board. You need to put people on a board of directors that belong with a company, that know the industry, or that know things about the industry because of other experience that could be relevant. You actually have to focus on a business for it to be successful. It doesn't matter what the business is. They all go through changes. By the group's count, only 47 of the more than 5,000 board seats in Fortune 500 companies are occupied by LGBT people. Among Fortune 500 companies, the CEOs of Apple, Dow, and Land O'Lakes are the few recognized as being openly gay. I knew Tim Cook was gay. I didn't know that the CEO of Dow is gay or that the CEO of Land O'Lakes is gay. What does that have to do with butter? Absolutely nothing. And do you remember the controversy about the Native American Indian woman on the Land O'Lakes butter package and how they insisted that is racist? It's not right. You've got to fix that problem immediately. So here's what the CEO came up with as a solution for disrespecting a Native American person who's on their land holding butter. They not only got rid of the woman, but they got rid of the land. See, look, there's the land. There's grass. She's kneeling. She's got butter. She looks like a nice person, and it's an iconic logo. It's not insulting. And if some people are insulted by it, you've got my sincerest apologies. But the solution was take the Indian off her land and then take away the land. That's their current package. And if you're only listening to this and you don't see it, there's no Native American woman holding butter because she's been removed, and there's no land because the land has been removed. And this is progress to these people. Given the political climate, raising those percentages isn't about to get any easier. Given the political climate, raising those percentages isn't about to get any easier. Ford Motor Company, Lowe's, and Toyota, among others, recently have reconsidered their public support of the 44-year-old Human Rights Campaign, the nation's largest LGBT advocacy group. The retreat is raising new questions about the future of HRC's influential yardstick of company behavior, the Corporate Equality Index. Founded in 1980, the Washington, D.C.-based HRC has wielded money and influence to back initiatives like same-sex marriage, anti-discrimination rules, and gender-affirming care benefits. The organization has often leaned on the C-suite, persuading executives to back such policies well before they were required by law. And the C-suite refers to high-level corporate executives, CEO, CFO, COO, Chief Operating Officer, you get it. For years, its index has been embraced almost universally by U.S. companies hoping to demonstrate their commitment to diversity. Achieving a perfect score has become the ultimate symbol of an LGBT-friendly workplace, and the group wielded it aggressively, so much so that some corporate advisors likened it to an activist hedge fund. An activist hedge fund will push corporate executives because they have money to spend, and they can get a narrative going that the company isn't being managed properly, and that's what HRC was doing, bullying these companies into complying with whatever nonsense they came up with next. And I call it nonsense, not like I've gone through every plan. I have been through their website. I've seen numerous articles of them. But it's completely inappropriate for them to be pushing companies to take actions that aren't necessarily for the benefit of the companies. In 2011, for instance, the number of Fortune 500 companies offering transgender inclusive healthcare more than doubled after HRC added such care as one of its index metrics. In 2017, Walmart made headlines when HRC suspended its perfect index score of 100. In 2019, Google pulled a controversial app that LGBT groups said promoted conversion therapy hours after HRC threatened its 100 rating. However, since June 2024, when conservative activist Robbie Starbuck began online campaigns targeting consumer brands for their woke policies and support of LGBT community objectives, at least 8 companies, including Harley-Davidson and Tractor Supply Company, have announced they'll no longer participate in the index. Toyota's Lexus brand pulled its high-level corporate sponsorship. Representatives from most of the defector companies have said they're refocusing DEI programs on internal efforts closer to their business lines, but said they remain committed to diversity, including LGBT employees and their corporate benefits. Kelly Robinson, president of HRC, characterizes the recent developments as a blip. HRC and its allies have accused companies of cowering to internet trolls and bowing to conservative fear-mongering. Quote, "This is purely a political attack that is leaning into people's lack of familiarity to sow fears and chaos," Robinson says. "We've seen this playbook before." No, they haven't seen the playbook before, because had they seen the playbook before, they might have been prepared for the playbook, and they may have had some leverage they could have used, some strategy they could have used to stop these companies from dumping the HRC crazy index. But never before has the momentum gone against their woke policies and their nonsense agendas as they're doing now. It was always going in one direction for years upon years upon years until it got worse and worse. Now it's spinning the other way, and it's glorious. Robinson goes on to say that despite the defections, more companies than ever are providing data for next year's index. Quote, "If we ignore this and we think it's just a blip, it may be irresponsible," says Rob Smith, board director at shoe company Steve Madden, and former executive at Macy's Incorporated and Victoria's Secret. Quote, "The concern is real," adds Smith, who is openly gay, saying that LGBT supporters need to unite to challenge what seems like a coordinated conservative backlash. As opposed to the coordination from the HRC that they've been doing since the 1980s. Well, you can push your agenda through the HRC. There's nothing apparently illegal about that. What's wrong with the opposition saying, "Excuse me, no, we don't want this in the workplace. No, we don't want you using our resources this way. No, we don't want you to give advantages to people based on their sexuality or their skin color or their race or their gender or whatever other reason. We want a workplace that's fair to people, that people get ahead or fall behind in based on the quality of their work, not based on their skin color or sexual preference." Others say time-worn strategies of issuing public demands and lobbying aggressively have become less effective given the protections and benefits LGBT people have already won in the workplace, and given today's deeply partisan landscape. Among Republicans, support for LGBT rights has fallen markedly in recent years, according to Gallup, as Trump and others have adopted anti-LGBT rhetoric. Well, actually, no, they haven't. They're just saying you can't push things like this on children. You have to let parents raise their own children. You can't get between parents and their children to push your agenda, no matter how much you want to do that. Trump had the first openly gay cabinet member, Richard Grenell. Trump is a trailblazer with this. Everyone gets treated fairly, but you do not get to indoctrinate other people's children. That's just the way it goes. Only 46% of Republicans support legalized same-sex marriage, down from 55% in 2022. Some 51% of Americans, including 85% of Republicans, believe changing one's gender is morally wrong, according to Gallup. And most of those Republicans, I can assure you, think it's not actually possible. And that's actually a more compelling statistic. HRC, however, has kept raising its bar for big business. To earn a perfect score, companies must now offer gender transition plans for their employees, including supportive restrooms, dress codes, and documentation guidance. Businesses must also participate in 5 LGBT community outreach initiatives, up from 3 in 2022. So it never ends with HRC. Once you agree to start working with HRC, they'll keep upping the ante and making more and more demands of you until they can't get away with it anymore, which is what's been starting to happen. Executives at some of the companies that pulled out of the rankings had grown uncomfortable with HRC's approach, as well as its high-profile, openly partisan political posture, according to people familiar with their thinking. Robinson, the CEO, for instance, spoke at the Democratic National Convention in August. All of this has put executives on the defensive. Since the Supreme Court overturned affirmative action in college admission, conservatives have aggressively targeted corporate DEI efforts. To head off the kind of criticism that has roiled the nation's elite universities, companies have conducted sweeping reviews of the diversity programs. Recent controversies involving Bud Light and Target have only added to the angst. Some LGBT advocates are suggesting a new playbook for engaging with corporate America. Quote, "It's being tone deaf to expect companies to do the same things the same way that they've done for 20 years, said Todd Sears, the founder of consultancy Out Leadership. The conversation we need to have is, how do we help companies move forward in this way so that they can continue to do it versus naming and shaming?" Charles Moran, president of conservative gay rights group Log Cabin Republicans, says refusing to engage with Trump has been a mistake. Quote, "HRC is running around to all these corporations saying, we're here for LGBT Americans and we're here for gay rights and all this stuff," says Moran. "I'm like, no, you're here for gay Democrats and to advance the Democratic Party's narrative around gay rights." And in another improvement, it's okay to be a white guy and actually work for a company. From CNN Business, the hottest trend in executive leadership, bring back the white guy. Companies are increasingly opting to fill those vacant CEO jobs with a man. In August, the rate of new CEOs who were women fell 0.7% to 27.2% compared with the same period last year. And of course, the ranks of women and people of color have always been thin. Just 52 businesses in the 2024 Fortune 500 ranking were run by women, holding flat from the year before. Obviously, white guy CEO never went out of fashion. Women have rarely represented more than 10% of Fortune 500 companies. People of color are also wildly underrepresented in the C-suite, with just 8 black CEOs in the Fortune 500 this year. But a rash of recent leadership shakeups illustrates the enduring power of the white guy as kind of a capsule wardrobe for corporate leadership. What a board decides to do with its chief executive is the board's business, but DEI initiatives have been shown to boost profits. No, they haven't. Reduce employee attrition. No, they have not. And increase employee motivation. No, they actually haven't. But they really have, according to her colleague Nathan Meyerson in his reporting. Leadership diversity in particular is associated with, quote, holistic growth ambitions, greater social impact, and more satisfied workforces, according to McKinsey research that sells consulting training programs and research and all kinds of services to push diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is never listed in any of these articles. They're selling their own services and then they're commenting on how wonderful their services are, which, let me tell you something, in business, You can tell if the services are working or not. You don't need outside commentary. If you spend X millions of dollars on something, you can actually see the results. You don't have to make up a whole new measurement holistic status. You can actually just look at what your normal measurements are. Did we get more customers? Did we make more money? Did we increase our revenue? Did we get into a new line of business? All of those are very easy to do, understand, and learn. It's how we normally operate our businesses. This is propaganda, and that's why they have to keep pushing it, and it always sounds ridiculous. But yes, if you see anything that's cited by McKinsey, that consulting company, they sell diversity services to the same companies. Of course, they're going to say they're effective. They are not effective. The author continues, the business case is clear, but the reversion to the mean of a white male CEO also is happening at the same time that many firms are backing off their early 2020 commitments to diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI. All of that coincides with the Supreme Court's decision last year to end affirmative action in colleges. In other words, giant U.S. institutions, like actual constitutional law, have created a permission structure for businesses to revert to muscle memory. Muscle memory of actually not having to make up new fake measurements to actually run a business and just say, hey, whatever works, works. I don't care if you're white, black, woman, whatever you are. Doesn't matter. A company needs results. The employees count on it, the customers count on it, and the investors count on it. There may have been a moment, circa 2020 to 2022, when replacing a person of color or a woman with a white man might have sparked a public relations debacle. Clearly, major corporations don't seem to be sweating the optics anymore. No, there's no optics. It's just, we actually run a business. And when you buy something, you expect value. Running a business is no different. If the CEO doesn't work out, they gotta go. I recently did a story about the CEO of CVS, Karen Lynch. She's not a dummy. She's not an idiot, but she's not competent. She's not able to actually function as the CEO of CVS. She cost the company billions of dollars. She had a vision and a strategy for the company that the board of directors said she could not do. And the company got themselves in a lot of trouble. They're announcing some layoffs. There's going to be a lot more layoffs probably at CVS. They may have to pull the company apart just to try to come back from what this woman did to this company. It doesn't matter that it's a woman. It only matters if you're competent or not. So the optics shouldn't be important. The quality of the work should be important, especially when you're talking about the top position at a company. Ridiculous discriminatory diversity, equity, and inclusion programs are rapidly coming to an end. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another story. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.